Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents, a former Two Gents podcast. I don't speak for all the Two Gents, but I speak for the part that I'm doing right now. I decided to change up my format for this particular reason because we need to take on another mission all the way up until the elections come up. We're not too far away from them either. But we need to be on this mission every single day. And I just want to tell you something that's going to kind of help you get there because we need to understand how important Gina Hinojosa is to our campaign, to everybody's effort. We need to understand how important Gina Hinojosa's being elected to the Texas governor is important for everybody. Not only people that look like her, but people that look like me, because she's the one that can answer the questions. But I want to tell you, and the real reason why I'm doing this show is because I need to show you something. I need to show you something that shows you that people, we have outside influence from the state of Texas dictating what goes on. What they're trying to do is dictate what goes on within the Texas lines, but we need to stop that. We don't need to stop it, but we need to benefit from it. And that's what I want to do today, is show you how we can benefit from it, because we've been benefiting from it. And they're not really changing their plan. But we need to change our plan for the next, to get to the election cycle. We need to change our plan and demand that they change it. And here's the reason why, because Texas, believe it or not, had a plan before they even stepped into our politics. A plan that would have changed the cycle of who the governor was long before then, and changed a couple other places within the Texas government. But see, we get too confused because we think we're so smart that we get out there and we throw out terms and we say, oh, no, the lieutenant governor has more power than this. The railroad commissioner has more power than that. Everybody has more power, but here's the question that we failed to ask ourselves in the initial beginning. When Trump said redistrict the maps in the state of Texas, he didn't direct it at any of those other offices. You know why? Because it stops at the governor's office. It has the end say, and I'm gonna break it down, not today, but I'm gonna break it down on Wednesday, what the governor has the ability today to do, has the ability to do with her power. And I'm gonna say her power because it's coming. We just need everybody to vote and stop talking about it, stop registering to vote, and not take the final action. If you vote, we can win this thing. We can win it hands down. Because, I want to share a fact with you. And I'm just bringing it up for this reference. Just think about it. When Jasmine ran against Talarico, Jasmine beat both of the Republican candidates in vote and still lost. Let that sink in. So just think, if we combine our efforts together, we can have a new governor. We can have a new lieutenant governor. We can have a new railroad commissioner. We can have a new whatever we want to have, but we have to stand united. And I'm trying to get past this. Let me tell you, it's hot in here. I'm trying to get past this because I need to put this out today so you can understand what happened behind the scenes, so we can move forward and demand that we get the same, that our governor's race get the same attention that they're putting into Talarico. That's what we want. Everything else will come together if we just do that. Gina Hinojosa is only 1 point behind Governor Abbott right now. And you don't think they're scared on that side? Oh, his biggest cash cow that he's been bringing into the community has been data centers that's been increasing the cash flow here. And I'm not going to use the other part because somebody out there said that he was benefiting too. But That don't I can't prove that, so I'm gonna put it out there and let you go research it for yourself. But that's what they're saying. Now that he realizes that people are protesting against the data center, now he wants to come in and change his pattern to, hey, wait a minute, we gotta slow this thing down. You know, it's coming up on the governor's race. I need to slow this thing down. But that's a typical pattern. Because what they do is they slow it down until after they get what they want, and then they come back and put it back, implement the way that they want to, and call it a new plan. It's not a new plan. They just wanted to slow it down so they could get the word out to the public and fool them. And all this gonna make sense because all of this is politics. And see, I'm learning how to play politics. So let me do this. Let me get into this because I'm gonna need every minute of the show. A woman speaking directly about what is happening behind the scenes in Texas politics. She said they had a plan involving the major Democratic names, a plan that could change the entire ticket for Texas. Then, according to her, that plan fell apart, not because Texas rejected it, not because the voters rejected it, but because somebody changed the direction of what they were trying to achieve in Texas, because what they did was they went against the whole plan that people had put together before. And I don't want to get too far ahead of me. And you know that video got pulled down? It got pulled down. And the only person that could have pulled it down in its entirety was the person that put it up. It said some things that we should have paid more attention to, but they didn't want you to pay attention to because they was too busy building up one candidate within the state of Texas. But it told about a person's character and what they wanted to achieve, because a person's character speaks louder than anything else. So you can say one thing when you get on camera, but your action speaks more of your character and how you carry yourself off the camera. So I want to get this out here, and then we're going to come back together at the end. I didn't want to post this video, but the people that I'm trying to message at this time, they need to hear this video because they thought they had got rid of it. And I'm going to bring it up in its entirety and let you hear it for yourself, and I want to make sure that you're hearing it, because I worked all the way up until the last minute trying to put this video together to make sure that it came together, and sometimes you have to do that. So I'm going to put on my earplugs too so I can hear exactly what she's saying, and I need y'all to just kind of follow along, because this is the part that got pulled down. This is the one that got pulled down, and my voice can come into it. I'll pause it when I get a chance, but I need y'all to hear this video. Not that one.
Best slate possible to make sure that we flip seats up and down the ballot in November. But at the advice of his consultants, whose experience is in federal campaigns, not state campaigns, he once again was the cog in the wheel when it came to getting a statewide slate. This was even after Crockett suggested they share internal polling to see who was truly best fit to run in the general election. And as someone who traditionally focuses primarily on our down ballot races and knows we have to win 14 state house seats before the 2030 census if Democrats want a chance at drawing those maps, was a big red flag in a sea of flags that I'd already talked to the campaign about. So that's the tea, and that's one of the reasons why you started to see a change in my coverage of the Senate race. And it's
I want y'all to hear it one more time, because I need y'all to hear it from her voice, because what she says
supposed to have this all-star statewide slate that was going to run in Texas, and then it didn't happen. And you know how everyone's been asking what happened? I'm ready to spill the tea. Several of you have sent me this article from today in which James Talarico says, I called Jasmine Crockett in July and she said she wasn't running. That's why I decided to run for Senate. As someone that was involved in discussions with all of the camps, Summer, I know that's not exactly true, so let's rewind. You see, for the first half of 2025, James was actually very committed to running for governor. That's what he had built his brand on being the anti-app. And it's already been publicly reported on that he was in conversation with Beto and Joaquin Castro to to form this statewide slate. Castro saying, I'll run for attorney general since I'm the only attorney in the room. And it would have been a great slate, because think about it. Beto probably could not have gotten donors to buy into a rematch against Greg Abbott, but for a Senate run where he can show them that he's got a full slate supporting him, something that he didn't have in 2018, donors were ready to buy. And all three candidates would have benefited from Beto's massive infrastructure that he's built. Republicans would have also spent most of their money attacking him, and we probably could have snuck the other two through. But then in late spring, a consultant named Lis Smith flew Talarico out to New York City. She wined and dined him, introduced him to some really big names. And when he came back, his staff has said they were caught completely off guard and shocked to hear him say that he no longer wanted to run for governor and was all in on running for Senate. All summer long, people worked to try to get the statewide slate to happen, knowing that it would be very hard to imagine a scenario in which we didn't win one or multiple of these seats. Still, James was set on running for Senate and told people Paxton was an easier opponent for him to face. So one seat instead of multiple seats. Or one man. When he launched, that was the end of discussions, and everyone was willing to put on a face.
Let me tell you what she just said, and I'm going to come in here because what she just said is that this particular person that we holding up at this high esteem right now messed up a whole Texas plan that was out there. Didn't care. He got flew out to New York by Lis Smith. And if you want to know who Lis Smith is, I thought I had a video out here, but I need to tell you who Lis Smith is. See, a lot of us think that the Democratic Party is ran out of D.C. We think that's where their major office is. But Lis Smith is probably the most powerful person you will ever meet or run into off camera. And what she did was she flew, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to just tell you who Lis Smith is. She's the most powerful person in the Democratic Party. She's worked with campaigns like Barack Obama. She's worked with Pete Buttigieg. She was worked with other people that's within that campaign that have national known names out there. And you said, well, why does that make a difference? She just said that they had a plan because they was going to redistrict the maps in 2030. So there was a plan in place except for one person who decided that they was going to dissent. They had been working on this plan since 2025. Beto O'Rourke had the money left over from his campaign that he was willing to put into this pot and make it Texas turn blue by 2030. But here's where Lis Smith came in. She called James Talarico, flew him to New York City, and made promises that she could fulfill. She hasn't stopped. James didn't turn into a different person. James didn't turn into a different person than what she made him to be. She's still running the same campaign that they put out there first because they're so serious about getting James Talarico the publicity and the coverage and putting him in places where he never should have been if he was just ran on his own. And let me tell you, I'm not mad at that. That's politics. But his politics sacrificed a bigger plan for Texas. So he thought. By the time I get through with this show, you're going to see the reason why the plan backfired. It didn't backfire, but it helped Texans. It didn't just leave us in the background wanting change and leave us with Abbott in place wanting change that we couldn't get because that New York City, Lis Smith had a different plan. Chuck Rocha didn't just show up in the state of Texas under James Talarico's plan. He wasn't the only plan that was there. Chuck Rocha became a part of the plan because Lis Smith was the head of the plan that was building James Talarico. But Chuck Rocha had better groundwork here in the state of Texas, so he knew that he couldn't get the black vote to follow Talarico. So he went into places. He established different places outside of her strongholds and never attacked them. If you don't believe me, Gary Chambers, let me just say this again. Gary Chambers said it best. He said Chuck Rocha didn't go after the black vote. He didn't. He went after the white vote. He went after the Hispanic vote. I'm sorry. And I corrected myself. He went after the Hispanic vote. And in doing that, that's what pushed Jasmine to a defeat. Don't get mad at nothing that I just said. Don't even worry about nothing that I just said, because you know what they call it? They call it politics. So we're going to get into this. And some of y'all might be saying, well, Ron, how do you know that how do you know this lady was that powerful within the context out there?
Yeah. How are you going to be impacted by this? Let's go through some numbers. So healthcare has been under attack ever since January 20th of this year because of Donald Trump and the feeble Republicans that just do whatever he says. Because they passed the big ugly bill, 1.7 million in Texas are going to lose their health insurance. This is after
now,
5
I'm
million.
going to pause there because I need to keep moving, because the story, as you see, that's Kat Vargas, the white lady that's in the picture. That's Jasmine Crockett, the candidate. She had access. I want to show you the people that she had access to, so you'll know that her story has some credibility to it.
And then in Fort Worth, we had a Democrat that overperformed by 8 points. That's going to make that a 4-point race in that runoff. So we are seeing, even in Texas, we're seeing a shift. People are not happy with Trump's policies. They're not happy with Republicans who have had control of the state for so long. What are you seeing? What are the hopes that you're seeing in Texas?
I think you talked about a lot of rural communities. And we as Democrats sometimes, I think, have...
That was just an example to show you that she had access to Chuck Rocha. You know, sometimes we forget that people that put out videos or say something. Let me just show you something else. This is the same person, because this is important.
Tell me one piece of legislation that has Texas is the #1 uninsured state in the country, and you don't want anything to address health care.
I guess she's one of the first No Kings protesters.
I'm your constituent. I'm not a radical. I'm a suburban mom, and I'm your constituent.
It is because screaming radicals are setting the agenda for Senate Democrats.
I'm screaming because your office goes to voicemail and you don't answer the phone.
That was Kat Vargas. That was Kat Vargas at a thing for set up where Ted Cruz was talking, and she was challenging him on every point. So when you seen Ms. Weber go out there and do what she did the same thing. It takes guts to do that. And that's the reason why I say I need to show you who Kat Vargas is, so you can understand how much her video should hold weight with you. She had access to each and every one of those people that I'm talking about. And I'm going to show you something real quick, because I need to add this to the stage, and I'm going to pull myself back again so you can see it. That's Kat Vargas. She does that thing on Facebook called Howdy Politics. And you said, well, Ron, why does that matter? Because Kat Vargas has access to everybody that I'm about to talk about in this video, including James Talarico. See, I need to establish with her who she is by her credentials in order for you to understand what she had the ability to do. And that's the thing that most people don't see, is that when I put up that video, I didn't just put it up because I thought she knew what she was talking about. I put it up because I knew who she had access to. I knew who she had access to. I knew what she was about. I want to add something to the stage before I go any further, because I need to get all this out of the way. If you live in Texas and you want to create a change right away, the power that we're seeking sits in the governor's office. It sits in the governor's office. And you got all these people that's coming in talking about what the senator can do and everything else. A senator can talk about the problem. A senator can explain it. A senator can even debate people about the problems that's going on in Texas. And I'm going to be honest with you, but you know what they can't do? They can't initiate change in the state of Texas. Two people have that authority, and one of them has the final veto authority, and that's the governor of Texas. And the governor can change stuff that the lieutenant governor can't change. The lieutenant governor can present stuff to the office of the governor. Now, I'm going to explain that to you on Wednesday, but I got to get this out here first. I need to get this out here first, because what's going on is that I think that we're confusing a lot of stuff in the media. I think that we're confusing what's actually happening. Because every time I make a comment on a post or something, everybody tends to fall back on, well, I think the lieutenant governor has more power. I think the railroad commissioner has more power. I think that the AG, whatever, has more power. They always talk about who has more power in the state of Texas, but let me get into this. If they had the power that you're claiming that they do, it looks like Governor Abbott was the one to initiate the redistricting of maps. He was the one that allowed it to come to the floor. He was the one that signed off on it for it to go into effect. So maybe I'm confused. But I don't think so, because I see his actions. Because somebody changed the direction of what they was trying to do, but they did not post it. They didn't even run. They did not run with him. I did not build this story around it because I did not know who the woman was. I didn't know who Kat Vargas was when I first started, and I refused to come on the air without having enough information to put out the facts, just the facts. So I wasn't gonna put this out. I kept digging and digging. You don't know the extent I went to find out who Kat Vargas. I had the video, but I didn't have a face to it. But after I got the video and I was able to establish a face, I then had to go establish credibility of who this person was. And in establishing credibility of who Kat Vargas was, I found Howdy Politics. And I seen on her Facebook page and everywhere else that I looked that she had access to everybody that she named within that video. That's where truth comes to play, you know. So y'all, so when you criticize somebody, go out there and look at the research for yourself and find out if she had access. She wasn't lying. She was telling you the truth. There was a plan. You know, you have to know whether they have access. And I just said that. She had to have access to everybody that she was talking about, or that video is irrelevant. The video has since been taken down. I don't know who asked her. I don't know why she did it, but I noticed that after she did it, it was a pause in how she covered politics after then. And I want to apologize too on the behalf of everybody out there that was watching Howdy Politics, and tell Kat Vargas to get back on board. We need to push something else right now that's more important than whatever you was upset with, because I was upset the same way. I need Kat Vargas to get back on board and get in tune, because we need to hold these out-of-state people that want to reach their hands into Texas politics and tell them you can reach your hands in, but you're not going to come in here and cherry pick. We want you to spend some of that money that you spending on James Talarico, since it's not federal money. It's coming from the Democratic source, Lis Smith. Spend some of that money, Lis Smith, into Gina Hinojosa, which is 1 point behind, and at the same time, you get everything that you want. Because Gina, let me tell you, Gina will represent Texas as a whole. Greg Abbott is only represent a portion of what Texas is. It just so happened that we didn't get out and vote during his election as we should get out and vote during this election. And that's what they're afraid of. If we turn out in blacks, Hispanics, and minorities as a whole, we capture this whole state. So if you look at it, we got some Republican Hispanics. We even got some Republican blacks that's out there, but they're irrelevant if we come together as a whole and we know our goal, our mission is to get Gina Hinojosa in there while sending James Talarico to the Senate. But for Texans, I want to be clear. Gina Hinojosa comes before Talarico because Talarico can only speak in Washington. Or if he come back and visit, you can ask him questions on what's going on in Texas, but he cannot act on it. His vote is in Washington. He does no more voting in the state of Texas other than being a citizen. And see, that's where y'all getting it confused, because Talarico's vote for representation for the state of Texas is in Washington. Talarico's only has one vote in the state of Texas, just like you and me. He can go to the governor's office if he gets an invite and talk to the governor about some of the problems, but that's all he has the ability to do. I don't know why that's so hard for y'all to understand. Washington has a plan, and they're using James Talarico to fulfill their plan. Fulfill their plan. They're pumping money into James Talarico to fulfill their plan. In return, we get nothing in return because we're helping them to fulfill their plan, but we need a plan too to get rid of Abbott. Our plan should be Gina Hinojosa. So if they're gonna pump that money into Talarico, let's tell them, yeah, you got Talarico, you gonna get Talarico, but we need you to put some assistance and money and get behind Gina Talarico for the state of Texas to get behind James. Don't get the two confused. They want you to be confused. The Republican Party wants you to be confused. They want you not to know what to expect. They want you to concentrate on James Talarico. That is a weakness that we will show as Democrats in the state of Texas if we allow them to tell us to concentrate on James, and they're going to sell media to sell us on just James because they know that the governorship is at risk. We got to get smarter. We got to do our own research and find out what's going on. And that's the reason why this show is so important. Not to shoot a shot at James Talarico, but to let Texas know that their strength of voting lies within the governor's office here in the state of Texas. Lieutenant governor, if you want to go down the ballot, lieutenant governor and governor of the state of Texas. So when you see James Talarico out there going to these meetings that they pushing him into, you see him out there representing the state of Texas. What somebody on that show or wherever he's at asked him, how many of those changes can you actually achieve in Texas? And if he answers them correctly, the only thing he can say is, I'm just like a normal citizen. When I come back to Texas, I only got one vote. But I represent the state of Texas when I'm in Washington, which is one vote of 99 others. So when a state senator goes to Washington, D.C. for the first time, he's like a baby learning to walk. He doesn't have the power of his predecessor that represented the state of Texas. He doesn't pack any of that because that power is gone. So if you think he just walks in with James Cornyn power when he gets to Washington, D.C., and he just continues to operate as James Cornyn with that same power, not true. Not true. He has to earn his own way, just like everybody else did. But they're not telling you that because they want that one vote in Washington, D.C. that they buy. They spending up every bit of money that they got in the state of Texas, but they're not helping the people in the state of Texas unless they start to help the governor, which is Gina Hinojosa. I'm saying it early. I know I'm manifesting. Which is Gina Hinojosa, the governor of Texas, and you get James Talarico, you transition the state. And even if you get the lieutenant governor to help endorse, keep going. Because you have to take out the lies. You ever seen a snake has to be cut off from the head? The body falls away. We need to let the body fall away from the snake's head being cut off, Governor Abbott. And I'm just telling you how snakes operate, not to go out and do any violence or anything like that. I'm just telling you how a snake operates. Because you know what happens? That snake head, it ain't got no movement in it. That body can keep on floundering. And as long as we allow the down ballot in the state of Texas to stay the same, we haven't did anything. So we need to change out the governor, the lieutenant governor, and any other office that's below that. I wish I had that image up because I at this point I'm gonna show it before I get off the air. You know, I want to get back to this. I cannot tell you who removed it, but I can tell you that I had already saved that copy of that video. I can tell you I found out who the woman was. She was real. She was connected. She had been actually around these campaigns and people long before I even found out who she was. And again, her name was Kat Vargas. Howdy Politics. That's not. At first, I thought she was AI because the video disappeared in its entirety. I thought she was AI. I didn't want to put out the information. Then I found out she wasn't AI. It wasn't even a fake page, not random. It wasn't even a person trying to go viral. A real Texas political voice with a public record. I found multiple videos. I found her work. I found her in political places she said she had been in. I found evidence that she had real access to Texas politicians. You know, that's what I did at first. And then I did something more important. I checked the timeline that she was talking about. I compared it to what she said to the public report. I compared it to campaign moves. I compared it to the names that later came out. And that's why I'm talking about it now. Not because the video made for a good story. It sounds good, man. She tells you that they had a plan that was in place. She names people that was in place. She even tells you where the funding was going to come from to do the video before they even planned that. And who was actively involved because they did not have the funds to do any of that on their own. They were going to use the funds of Beto O'Rourke to actually start this thing because they didn't have funds. Then, this is where it shifted. Then came the New York visit. Now, those people had been working together, including this James Talarico, in 2025 up until the election, just before the election. Then James Talarico gets flown off to New York by Lis Smith. And guess what happens at that? Lis Smith tells him of another plan that they wanted to get behind. That's a Washington plan. And you see how that Washington plan changed? It put all that money, put all those efforts, it put him in places that he never should have been. He never was a national recognized candidate until Lis Smith got behind him. That's politics. Don't get mad. That's politics. I was mad and upset too. But I needed you to understand the whole story because that is politics. That's what everybody was trying to tell me when I was upset about Jasmine Crockett being hurt. And I knew behind the scenes that all this had taken place. I knew behind the scenes because Kat Vargas verified it. Kat Vargas had access to everybody that she was talking to. And the person that should be mad at James Talarico ain't even coming out. Hadn't said one word. Because it involved his and I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be clear when I say this. It involved him running for Senate, Beto O'Rourke. He was the one with the money still left from his governor's race that was going to help James Talarico run for the office of governor. He was willing to invest that. But you haven't heard Beto O'Rourke come out and talk against James Talarico. But you haven't heard James Talarico tell you about the initial plan that they had either. Politics. Jaquan Castro would run for the attorney general since he was the only person in the room that was an attorney. Beto was in on it. Beto was in on it. Castro was in on it. Everybody else that was in the room was in on it. Only one person dissented from that group and took a visit to New York City and just said, to hell with y'all. I'm going to put it in the language that you can understand. To hell with y'all. I'm running for the senator. Forget about you, Beto O'Rourke. Forget about you, Jacqueline Castro. Forget about all the meetings and planning that we had put in place. I'm running for the Senate. Now, I'm going to give him credit. He messed over those people right there. He threw them out the window and these are Texans. He threw them out the window like a, Anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. But anyway, he messed over those people. Then he turned around and he got in the race. They put him in the race. Beto O'Rourke, if he really wanted to challenge him, he could have challenged him. But Beto, for the good of Texas, just stayed quiet. And he's still staying quiet. Sometimes you gotta look at the bigger picture. And the other candidates would have filled out the ticket too. Some of them may be the people that you're looking at right now that's having to run for different offices because James Talarico just did away with the plan that they had in place for years. Nothing wrong with that. Politics. I'm just saying, the idea was not to just win one race. That's key. Not to win one race, but to win multiple races and change Texas. But when you come back and you just basically say the hell with you, I'm doing my own thing, I'm standing on my own power, I know what I got behind me, and now I don't care about what y'all doing. That's Christian-like, right? That's what Christians do. That's what they do. And I need you to imagine this because I want to take you here. But I'm going to clean it up in the end, trust me. I need you to go here with me. Imagine Jesus on the path, making all those visits, got all these disciples running with him, and he has his goals set in mind and all the rest of that. And then Jesus goes back and tells the disciples, I got this. I got this. I'm the one that's connected to God. I'm the son of God. I'm gonna let y'all do y'all thing over there, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run my own race over here. So for y'all that don't understand what happened and understand the Bible just a little bit, that's exactly what James Talarico did to those people. The disciples that was building them up, the disciples that was walking with them, the disciples that was willing to put in money, the disciples that was willing to go get additional funding for him, he basically told them after the New York trip, to hell with y'all. According to Vargas, Beto running for Senate with coordinated statewide slate would have given donors a different reason to invest. Not another simple rematch of Beto O'Rourke, not another one-person effort, which is turning into right now a statewide plan. A chance to compete up and down the ballot. And see, that's what Talarico doesn't give us a chance to compete up and down the ballot, because he's running for one office that destination is Washington, D.C. He then becomes, I'm going to say it again, one voter, no different than me or you when he comes back to the state of Texas, other than his office may have access to the governor. But if he's that one Democratic senator that's coming back to Texas and he's talking to Abbott, what kind of influence do you think he's going to have on Abbott sitting in the governor's office when he comes back? Some of y'all need to listen to what I just say. What kind of influence do you think that a Democratic senator is going to have on a sitting Republican governor by the name of Abbott when he comes back? So if anybody's out there confused, it's the people that don't think that we need both offices to change and the lieutenant governor office to change. If we don't get all of that, we're just back where we came from. Because again, if Dan Patrick is sitting in the lieutenant governor's office, we're defeating the purpose of electing Gina Hinojosa. So I'm just telling you that it's a bigger plan. It was a Texas plan at first. We ain't changing it. We just redirecting what's already in place to help more Texas, not help one man. And that proves Kat Vargas' video to be correct. They were helping a down ballot. They was trying to help everybody. Their conversations, they had conversations that were real. Possibly a slate to change Texas. There was a larger strategy on the table. According to Vargas, James Talarico was originally a part of that plan as a candidate for governor. The pivot came after James went to New York. Then, according to Kat Vargas, something changed. He came back with a new dance, new attitude, say, oh, no, y'all ain't. Oh, I'm running for the Senate. It tore apart everything that they had put in place. She says the consultant name was Lis Smith. She flew James Talarico to New York. When I heard that name, I had to slow down because names matter for me. I didn't know who Lis Smith was. Lis Smith is not a Texas consultant. Chuck Rocher is. Now I need to establish that to go forward, because now I need to establish who Lis Smith is for you, so you can come on board. Liz, she's a national Democratic communications strategist. She worked on President Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. She later became a senior communications advisor to Pete Buttigieg's 2020 presidential campaign. Her work helped introduce Pete Buttigieg, a mayor from the South Bend, Indiana, to a national political audience. Her specialty is messaging, media, rapid response in helping candidates build a larger public profile. I need that to sit with you because I'm gonna tell you how that what that did. Politics, I'm gonna call it politics. And public reporting identified her as Lis Smith, the advisor to James Talarico Senate campaign. Notice what I say. He was I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna say it in a tone where you understand. He went from being a state representative to a nationally recognized face. You know why? Lis Smith. You don't see her name running for no office. She only has one vote, just like me or you, outside of the state of Texas, where she resides. One vote. But she has the power to change people, to elevate them, the money to back them, the PACs to come on board because of her power. So when you ask yourself, how did James Talarico go from a state representative to a national figure where he's at? How did he sit in rooms with everybody that he can sit in, The View and a couple of other shows that's out there, which are national shows? She put him in those rooms. So when you actually, here we go. We're going to keep on going. It does not prove that she ordered him to run for Senate. No, that don't prove it. That meant that he made a choice. James Talarico, I'm going to put a name on it. James Talarico made a choice between what was already being offered in the state of Texas. Somebody was willing to put up their funds and seek additional funds for their plan in the state of Texas. He pivoted because of Lis Smith, what she told him. If you don't believe me, you can see it. You see it now. It's not being hid. He's everywhere. Why? Not because he had the funds when he first started, but because they want him so bad for Washington for one vote that they're willing to sacrifice all. Let me keep moving. And I need you to understand, she didn't force him to make that decision against what was already in place. She basically told him what they would do for him. And he made that decision. He owns that decision that he made at that time. But we don't hold him accountable for is who he left behind. And he doesn't want that message out. That's the reason why that video happened to disappear. I'm just going to tell you. Because it exposes truth. It exposes truth. And it tells who actually made the decision to pivot on a group that already had a plan in place. But that's politics. I'm not holding that against because I'm still need to bring this back together. What changed? Because according to Vargas, James left Texas slate discussions committed to the governor's race. Then he came back and he got into the Senate race. I'm going to shift a little bit on you. See, they had a Texas plan in place. When the National Party comes in, they only have one plan in place. They could give a poop about Texas. This is where the tension of the story. One strategy was Texas focus. It built around multiple candidates, multiple offices, state seats, statewide infrastructure, a coordinated ticket. A plan designed not to win the headlines, but to build power before the next redistricting of the maps come into place. And that's key. Let me tell you what James Talarico's plan is. Not James, but Lis Smith plan did to the plan that they already had in place that will stop what was happening in Texas altogether. The other strategy was to build one major Senate race, one candidate, one national message, one federal lane, and James Talarico had every right to choose the Senate race. I want to be sure that y'all understand it. That is not the issue. The issue is whether or not Texas Democrats lost something larger when the statewide strategy gave way to one senator's campaign. According to Kat Vargas, people kept trying to rebuild the slate after Jasmine Crockett became the possible Senate. Listen, this is key. And that's the reason why Jasmine Crockett was on part of this post. Vargas, the same people that I told you had access to everybody else, says there was a discussion about whether James should move back to the governor's race so that the broader ticket could still come together. So while y'all out there arguing and doing all that stuff, here's a person that was right in the room that was making that decision, helping them discuss this. And again, that is Kate's accountability. I showed you what her accountability did. Her accountability gave her access to those people that she was talking about in those videos. So she wasn't off. You can't prove that she wasn't there. You can't say that she didn't talk to him. You can't say any of that. The campaigns involved can speak for themselves, but the political question is real. Did the Texas Democrats choose a strategy that created the most power for Texas? I want you to challenge yourself here. Or did Texas become a part of a narrower national strategy built around one federal race? Because these are not the same thing. A Senate race matters, but the governor's office matters too. The governor sets the direction of Texas. The governor sets the priorities. The governor has the ability to shape the executive agencies, the budget fight, the emergency response, the appointments, the state agenda, the political direction of the state. And when redistricting fights happen, when the state power is exercised, when the future of Texas is being decided, the governor's office is not a side issue. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's central. Now, I'm going to keep moving because I need to get through this. The question Texas must ask this is not just about James Talarico. It is not just about Lis Smith. It is not just about Kat Vargas. It is about Texas politics. It's about how Texas politics gets shaped. Who elevates? Who gets recruited? Who's access to national donors? Who gets the media attention? Who gets told to wait? Who gets asked to sacrifice their campaign for somebody else's strategy? And who decides what Texas needs? That is the question. Because Texans have seen national people come into this state treated like a political experiment, like fundraising opportunity, like a media market, like a place to test your message, build a candidate, and move on. But Texas is not the backdrop. Texas is not a prop. Texas is not a campaign laboratory. Texas is home to me and many more. These are our communities, our schools, our roads, our power bills, our neighborhoods. These are our districts. And Texas deserves to know whether the people asking for our votes are building power that stays here or simply building a national resume. I want to say that again because this needs to sink in Texas' hands. And Texans deserve to know whether the people asking for our votes are building power that stays here or simply building a national resume. That's not hatred. That's not division. That's That is accountability. The Texas opportunity. Let me just switch from everything that I've been saying. You know the story now, but let me just switch to the Texas opportunity. Now let's talk about what comes next, because we cannot go back and rebuild the slate that did not happen. We cannot undo the decisions that were made. We cannot change the path people chose. Texas still has the opportunity, still has a path. And it begins with the governor's race. Gina Hinojosa is running for the governor of Texas. And this is not a side race. This is not an afterthought. This is not something that Texas Democrats can ignore while everybody else is focused on one Senate race. The governor's office is the center of Texas executive power. And right now, this is as close a race as possible. I'm going to tell you, and the only reason why I'm sharing this is a Fox News poll. Fox, notice what I'm saying. You know Fox ain't on our side. Fox says Abbott has a 50% lead on Gina Hinojosa. That means that he's 1 point in the lead. One recent poll shows that 1 point. Another recent poll showed the same thing. That does not mean that we take everything for granted. It means we have an opening. It means that this is real. It means this is winnable. And it means national Democratic money needs to stop treating Texas as only a Senate opportunity. Put some of that money into Gina Hinojosa. If national donors can see the value of investing in James Talarico's Senate race, I don't know what that was, but I don't put it past nobody of what's happening, because when you start making sense, it's like everything changes. But if they can start funding, if they can fund because funding of James Talarico in 2026 Senate plan, funding Gina Hinojosa in the 2026 governor's race that sound just messed me all up together. I'm having to get back on focus. Because funding of James Talarico is a 2026 Senate plan, funding of Gina Hinojosa is a 2026 governor's race with consequences for the Republicans in 2028. Because if you happen to turn Texas blue, guess what? Not only did you send a senator, but then you accomplished turning Texas blue for the 2028. Whoever runs. I ain't going to even get into that, but whoever runs in 2028. And this is the thing that I need Texans to understand. Put Texas first. I'm not here to destroy James Talarico. I'm not here asking anybody to attack him. He made this decision. And you see the results of the decision that he made based on what they've been doing for him. That's politics. He chose the Senate race over every plan that was in place. That's politics. That's his choice. He made the choice to do it. That's not Lis Smith. That's Talarico making the choice to just dish the plan. That's cool. That's politics. He needs to own it, though. But Texas Democrat must also own the consequences of our choices. We have to ask what happened to the statewide strategy. We have to ask what happened to the candidates who could have built power across the ballot. We have to ask whether Texas is being built for Texas or whether Texas is being used for one national campaign story. For one national campaign story. We have to ask that. And then we have to build something better, because when 2028 comes, Texas cannot be an afterthought. Texas cannot be a place where people come to raise money, get headlines, pick a candidate, and leave. Texas has to be counted. Texas has to be funded. Texas has to be respected. If Texas becomes competitive in 2028, if Texas becomes blue, then the Democratic nominee for the President of the United States gains something that changes the whole political dynamic of the map. And I just figured out what that was that keep on changing the sound in my podcast. That's actually thunder and lightning outside. So can't do nothing about God's work. They gained a major southern state. They gained a state nobody can ignore. And that sends a message beyond our borders. It tells Georgia, keep building. It tells North Carolina to keep fighting. It tells South Carolina, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and every southern state written off by national politics. Do not let anybody tell you that you cannot build power where you live. But it starts here. It starts with Texas. It starts with investing in the office that can lead Texas blue. It starts with Gina Hinojosa. If the National Democrats want Texas to be a part of their path to the White House in 2028, then they need to invest in Texas leadership, which is Gina Hinojosa, real money, real organizers, real voter contact, real statewide infrastructure, not just one race, not just one national story. Texas deserves the power that stays in Texas. The National Party gets a stronger path to the presidency. Texas gets the true Texas representation. That is not a bad deal. That's leadership. That's Texas first. Texas first means Texans decide who leads Texas. Texas first means Texans decide who leads what Texas needs. Texas first means nobody outside the state gets to write our political future for us. Texas united. Texas ready. Get ready to outvote everybody. As a group, get ready to outvote everybody. Minorities rule Texas, whether or not you know it. Minority vote can carry Texas, whether or not you know it. Minority vote put together can change the dynamics for Texas. Because this time, Texas decides. This is Texas first all the way. Look behind me. For those of you that can see it, that big white star, on the side of that big white star behind me, it has Texas first. And we need to put Texas first. Not just one Senate race, but the whole state of Texas. I'm going to say this before I get off. Fox News poll, Abbott polling at 50%, and the host of polling right behind them at 49%. Texas is speaking, but we need to let Texas speak. That's lightning and thunder outside the house. Can't do nothing about God's work. But I'm gonna ask y'all to participate in this Texas vote. And here's the story. Tomorrow night we're gonna talk about some things that's a little bit different. We're gonna get together as a group and discuss this at 7:30 tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. I'm gonna put it out. I think it's already out, but I'm gonna repost it again. On Wednesday, I'm gonna break down at 1 o'clock what the governor has the ability to do in the state of Texas. Because I think that some of y'all are confused. Some of y'all say I need to go back and understand Texas politics or take Texas politics. But what I'm going to do is show you what the governor has the ability to do on Wednesday. Still a Texas First plan. We still got about 90 days, 89 days, or 88 days, 87 days until the campaign takes place. But we can still make this move and make it happen. And we can get assistance if we demand it as Texans. You want something? We want something. We don't want you to leave Texas in the hand of a governor that the Democratic senator can't even come back and talk about the changes that are needed in the state of Texas. We want the Democratic senator that goes for you to represent Washington. We want that Democratic senator to come back and talk to a Texan governor, lieutenant governor, and go out and talk to the people and tell them, hey, I can go talk to the governor. I can go talk to the lieutenant governor. Now that you put somebody in place, I can do that. I have the ability to do that. So one needs the other one. We need funding. Lis Smith, we need your help. Chuck Rocher, for Gina Hinojosa. We need you to start spending any type of money that you're trying to do. The division has been settled when you put Gina Hinojosa in the governor's seat. When you tell the reason why you, Gina Hinojosa, because I saw Gina Hinojosa do something. I'm going to tell you the difference in power and the difference in action. See, for James Talarico, people are dictating his power by putting money behind him. Let me tell you what Gina Hinojosa did. Gina Hinojosa just visited Houston. No big media coverage or nothing like that. She went out there on her own power. And I think that was his son, of the person that got killed by ICE walking with him. She walked out there at the memorial. She looked at it. She reviewed it. And she didn't have all that coverage behind her. That's what real government does. That's what real people do. They don't need the power to introduce them. They don't need a pattern of outside politics coming into the state of Texas to care about state policies and procedures within the state of Texas. They just go there. And let me tell you how significant that move was. Because I haven't seen Governor Abbott roll past that memorial that's here in Houston for those ICE agents that killed, that murdered that man on his way to work. Murdered. And I say murdered because you're in unmarked cars and you don't have any identification to say who you were. And you ran up on that man on his way to work. And he didn't know who you were. Me being black, if that would have happened to me, I would have kept going until I just couldn't go no more. And even when you corner me, I'm going to take my last effort is going to be to get out of there. And that's what he did. So call it what you want to call it. But Gina Hinojosa went there and visited. Gina Hinojosa showed up for Texas, saying that wasn't right. Your governor that's in office right now haven't did anything. I wish I had the video so I could show you, but I don't think I have access to it right now. But she showed up when nobody else had. And she ain't even the governor. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to do any of that. But she did. Take that into accountability. It ain't about having all the media coverage. It ain't about every step that you take, being present in media. It's the little things that you do to show that you still care. And she did it. Vote for Gina Hinojosa for governor. I'm out. Y'all be good. I enjoyed this show. Every bit of it I enjoyed. But now we're shifting we're shifting to Texas. And yes, James Talarico is a part of that Texas plan. So we're shifting. But we're shifting to Texas with Gina Hinojosa. Y'all take care. Have a good one. I got to find the exit. I got to find the exit. I found it. Gina Hinojosa, remember that.